This is Michelle Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Today's podcast is brought to you by Water and Wellness. Recently, I had the opportunity to visit Water and Wellness at their offices, and I can tell you that as far as you and I are concerned and our health is concerned, this is one of the most important places that you can go to find water that is purified and products that will help your longevity and your overall health. Visit waterandwellness.com to learn how you can take control of your drinking water and learn about those natural additives to optimize your health and longevity. Contact Stacy at 877-296-6880. Use the Ageless code and you'll get a 20% discount on all your products. Hello, this is Michelle Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Today we have a guest from across the pond, a British man who I've known for about, I think, 6 or 7 years now. His name is Darren Wattier, and the reason I wanted him to join us today is that Darren is one of those entrepreneurs that we all hope to be like. We admire his tenacity and his creativity, and actually, interestingly enough, his multi-dimensional background that he's going to tell us about. But just a little bit of bio information. So Darren spent his early years getting a PhD in automotive engineering, and I think, actually, Darren, didn't you get a PhD in some other discipline in engineering as well?
Yeah, business.
What was it?
Business.
In business. Okay, so he has both the business and the automotive engineering from Cambridge University.
That's
correct?
It.
You there, Darren?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to
Yes.
be sure you could hear me. Okay, so
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, Darren took his left brain analytical training and applied it in a very creative way to designing and to the right brain kind of aesthetic side of business. And that brought him through many disciplines. He's designed furniture, he's designed jewelry, he's designed yachts, and he's worked for all the major automotive exotic car companies and even some of the mainstream companies. But Ferrari has been his major experience for 34 years. He served as a consultant. He has served as a consultant to them. So with all of that, Darren, welcome.
Hello.
Glad to have you. I know it's late there in London, and thank you for staying up for us here in Los Angeles. So, Darren, what makes Darren Darren? What are you, and who are you? And tell us a little bit of the colorful background that makes you you.
Well, I suppose life in general, the life I've had, has provided me with a position that I'm in currently. From military background through to engineering, and then on to my customer base. And one thing just stemmed on from another, really. It wasn't a set path that I'd gone out to do. It just one thing led to another.
So I would say it's kind of organic, the way you've evolved, and not really planned, so that you could say that your life has been like a reality TV show.
I suppose, really, yeah.
If you were in a reality TV show, what role would you think you would play, Darren?
I don't know. I've never been asked that question before.
Don't tell me the Casanova. I don't want to hear that, because by the way, I tried to convince Darren to be on a video today, but he didn't feel that he was ready for that. So that will be our next podcast. But if you see a picture of him on the screen, Tony, our CEO at UBNGO, is flashing. Why would he ever why would he never want to be on our our video? But anyway, it is 8 hours later there, and time for him to go to bed. So we'll excuse you this time, Darren. But with a face like that, next time you're going to be held to hostage to come on as a video cast. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Darren, you're a consultant for Ferrari for 34 years. Tell us a little more about that experience, what that means. I know you're part of a directorship for the Ferrari Museum in Verona. So give us a little more detail about what you do today with your exotic car knowledge and experience as a consultant to one of the major exotic car dealers.
Well, I was an automotive consultant in general. I used to sort a lot of PR issues out and a lot of manufacturing issues. Basically, companies would supply you with a mule and ask for cost reductions within that. And I would find and then liaise with their suppliers to get them the best sort of prices. That's basically.
And we're going
to in a very short, brief description,
well,
but that's basically what I did.
Right. So we're gonna flash. We're gonna show on the screen some of the cars that you deal with, so that people understand that these are not the plain old vanilla ones. These are the ones that are so rare and that people search high and low for, and that's really one of your expertise, is to be able to serve a client by answering their needs when sometimes their needs are very specific about cars that are very rare, and then finding those cars and then negotiating the sale, the transaction. So in some ways you have to be a little bit of an attorney. Well, you know, do you get involved in the actual contractual?
You have to. Oh, absolutely. It's from the cradle to the grave, as they say.
Cradle to the grave, right.
So it's from conception right the way through, on both sides. You know, if a particular client wants a specific model, sometimes even a specific chassis model that they require, because I've got such a vast amount of customers, I generally know where they are, and I have to liaise with them and sometimes persuade them to part with their treasure. And then I sort of we purchase the vehicle, and then we'll sell the vehicle on.
So how do people find you, Darren? Obviously you serve some of the most private people in the world, including the royal family. I know in several of the Arab countries. So, but what is it about you that makes them seek you out?
Because I get things done at the end of the day. If that's something they require, then I follow it through, a bit like a dog with a bone, until the deal is done.
Mm. Do they meet? Do they insist on meeting you in person, Darren, before they would ever engage you?
Yeah, a lot of my clients already know me, so they've already. But I do prefer a face to face. I'm a bit old fashioned in that respect. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do travel and have meetings with customers, because it's one of the few people that can actually do that. And a lot of these clients, they like that. They like the face to face.
You do realize that I let you off the hook, though, on the reality TV. So I'm going to come back to that, because I'm giving you time to think about who you would be, what character you would be. But for now, we want to learn more about the day-to-day in your life. So what part of your day is the most exciting? When you're dealing with transacting on, let's say, a Ferrari, what do you find to be the most challenging and the most exciting?
Well, one of the most exciting things is if you get a rare maybe one of three or one of four, and you're either being requested to find or locate that car. And it's exciting when you know where there is at least one or two, that there is a strong possibility of either purchasing that vehicle. But in general, it's if you get a car that's of great interest, etc., within the racing pedigree, now that is something very special.
Mm. So, what's the highest priced car you've ever transacted?
That would have to be 250 GTO, which is currently the most expensive car there is, in excess of over $70 million now.
$70 million.
Yeah,
Is that the
yeah,
same car that sold a few years back at the Corda in Carmel at the Corda Elegance? I think it was at 34 million.
yeah. It was actually 38.
38
But
million.
yes, yeah,
Oh, so it's gone from 38 million to 70 million in about what, 5 years?
yes.
What has caused that? The rarity, or what has?
The rarity as well, and if you want to be part of the 250 GTO club, there's a lot of members that just like the stigma that goes around with that. And of course, it's one of the ultimate cars if you ever wanted to have in your stable. It's a very, very nice car indeed.
Does it have to be red to be a Ferrari GTO, or are
No,
there?
you could have it in silver or in blue.
Okay, do you have those on the screen, Tony? I think you do. I think we have them on the screen. We're not sure which one is the GTO. I know you sent me quite a few, but we're trying to showcase some of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the. It wouldn't say it's necessarily one of the rarest cars, but it's one of the best cars.
And what makes it one of the best?
Because it was one of the most successful race cars in history.
So it is the racing history that does create some of the a big part of the value.
Without a doubt, yes.
Without a doubt, yeah. So if it has had a racing history,
especially if it was a Le Mans car.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and a car with no stories, that also helps somewhat. No stories means one that hasn't been crashed heavily and put back together at some point or another.
Darren, I know a lot of people don't know this about you. I'm lucky that I do, but you were a race car driver yourself, so you obviously can walk your talk here with the knowledge of the cars. So when who did you race for, and when did you race, and what happened in your racing career?
That was very early in my career. I worked for the Syme team testing the Honda engine. So I was a test driver, really.
And that was, how old were you?
I was 19 at the time.
Oh my God. Did you ever have a crash?
Yeah, several.
Several. So are you put together with crazy glue?
Something like that. I've broken a few bones, you could say.
And then you served in the military. Was the military before the racing or after?
Slightly after.
Slightly after. And you rose from like a private to lieutenant colonel in just a few years, right?
That's right.
What was it about? What was it about you that allowed that kind of progression, Darren?
Having to be in control of a great team and leading them exactly how they want or should be led was an honor, to be fair.
And how many missions did you fly over Afghanistan? I think you told me once, but what was the number?
Yeah, we've flown over 87 times.
87. That was the number. It was in my head. And you were captured.
Yes, I was at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm asking you what role you're going to play, because how many people have had in their lives this multidisciplinary background and this ability to be both a designer of fashion and cars, and be a PhD in an analytical discipline like engineering, and then live a life in solitude as another chapter of your life. Why don't you talk about that for a moment, after you went through a period of time where you questioned everything and moved away to Scotland, and tell us a little bit more about that chapter.
Yeah, with no phones, no communication to the outside world. It's just to recapture your own mind thoughts, and where you want to go in your direction, etc. Really,
And
um,
how did that work for you?
it was a strange thing having like no communication, um, but um, interestingly enough, it gives you an awful lot of time to think,
So you had one
and you
person. You had one person there, right? Your management of the home. Wasn't there just one
yeah,
person in the house, and that was it? Just you and that person for a whole year?
that's it.
And he went and shopped for you, and I mean, basically, you cut yourself off from the outside world.
Yeah, completely.
So when you came back, how were you changed?
Well, I think you end up being a slightly better person, really. You just develop your or being within your own self and being happy with it, and it gives you a lot of time to design things, etc., in your head as well, which does help things.
So you actually
Uh,
did. You didn't have a computer, but you were drawing. You were designing on paper.
yeah, I only design on paper. I don't design on computer.
Wow, really? So you're an oxymoron. You- that doesn't happen very often in today's world, right? Everybody is using the computers for designing, particularly the architectural firms that I've worked with.
Yeah, no, I design on paper still, and I use Chinese black crayon.
Really? So no CAD
Yeah,
CAM, just crayon. Wow. So when you go and meet with a client who's very technically evolved, how do they respond to the kind of old fashioned approach?
they love it, to be honest,
Uh,
because there's not many people can go into a room and they say, uh, and tell us exactly and draw it there and then of how it should work better than what they've currently got at the moment.
mm-hmm.
That does help a lot.
Right. And then you were telling me that you designed these beautiful shoes with the carbon fiber that you use in cars. Talk about that for a moment. Why carbon fiber works with a beautiful pair of stilettos.
Well, for a start, I wanted to use automotive technology uh, in a versatile unit such as a shoe. And having spoken to many ladies, one of the first complaints they all like their high heels, but they all feel very uncomfortable wearing them,
Mm-hmm.
which leads to how can you design such a simple or redesign such a simple thing? Well, if you look at the architecture of the leg within the shoe and then draw that on paper, you can see where the forces are generated, mainly from the heel going forwards, which relieves room for suspension, which I added a air pneumatic suspension rod within the heel
Mm.
that had to be adjusted by a little Allen screw to the person's weight. So you can't just, you had to try the shoe first.
So what has happened with carbon fiber have some of the big companies like Jimmy Choo and others have they adopted that because they realize from the feedback they've gotten from their customers that this is the material to be using?
Well, I think if you wanted to produce a shoe like that in a production environment, it's going to be too costly.
I see.
Uh, that, but it wasn't what it was intended for. It was intended to redesign what the architecture of the shoe itself in order to alleviate some of the pain that ladies feel when they're standing on their shoes all day.
So you're saying that if you wanted to, you could become the fashion icon for comfortable 5-inch stilettos. That
Well, yeah, I mean, you could increase the heel size
Mm.
using this type of system. But the only trouble with this type of system is it's not going to be thin and elegant. You have to encapsulate within the heel, so the heel has to be a fairly large one, which is okay at the moment because the thicker heel is slightly in fashion, but
Mm.
that's a downside of it.
Could you send me about 5 pairs, please, Darren?
Sure.
Well, first, I guess I better ask, how much does a pair of these shoes cost me?
A pair of shoes like that would cost you over £100,000.
Oh, £100,000. That's like
I'm afraid so.
that's like $120,000, right?
I know, but bearing in mind that it wasn't designed as a production
Right.
item. It was designed specifically for one person.
Right. No, I understand. It's the kind of clientele that you have. So I guess I better go back into trying to afford a pair of Jimmy Choos, or the rest of the gang, but not have the comfort, right, until I can get up to your level. So you also design jewelry, and I know we have a picture that Tony's going to show us of a most incredible ring. Is that a yellow diamond that you designed?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get that on the screen. Where was that diamond sourced, Darren?
The diamond actually came from Australia.
Oh, there it is.
Which is unusual because normally the pink diamonds come from Australia.
Yeah,
But that's why you get that lovely deep yellow color.
It almost looks like a topaz. It's so yellow. It's so deep.
Yeah.
Wow. And does a yellow diamond have the same clarity descriptions as a regular white diamond?
Yeah, they're still on SV, but that particular one was an SV1, which is clarity, very clear clarity.
So it is the most perfect you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I could ask, if it's not too proprietary, what does a diamond like that cost?
Well, because that was designed for Pacific First, I daren't say the price. So
okay, sorry.
It wasn't particularly cheap. No.
I think you're being modest. Okay, I won't press you because I know that is proprietary. So, but obviously, it'll set you back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Do people come to you to design jewelry as well as your automotive, your car experience?
Not specifically. I've designed a few, but it's just like, oh, I know you can do that. Can you do this? And you know, I can draw it on a paper there and then for them. And
yeah.
Because usually with, especially an engagement ring, etc., they want something that's not quite out there, or they want to add a little bit of themselves within the ring.
Right.
But I mean, the unusual bit about that ring is the cut of the diamond normally would go around an oval.
Right. I love the
shape.
square. The square is so contemporary, and yeah, the kudos to whoever was giving you the.
Well, the engineers that said I can't do this with this diamond, and I said, yeah, you can. Well, this is how you got to do it. And they said, oh, okay, we could try. And I said, no, you've got to do it, because if you did it this way, it will work. And that's basically how I managed to get around doing it. So there and then in the office, and then I said, right, you just quickly drew it, and they'll understand exactly how I work and how it could work for them. Because there's no point in doing something that is not within their capability.
Mm-hmm. And then you also, I know you told me that you have an interest in rare watches, and that you were looking for some people who might be willing to part with some Rolex. What's the most rare Rolex that you would find appealing to purchase?
Well, at the moment, like a Rolex Daytona, it seems to be very popular at the
Yeah.
moment.
In stainless
Especially
steel or in gold? And
in
stainless,
in
right?
sta- in stainless, funny enough,
Yeah.
actually.
Is
I
that
mean,
weird?
I personally believe the watch looks better in gold, but
Right.
fashion stipulates that the one in stainless is more desirable.
You know why, Darren? I think it's because of the people that are looking, or the younger generation who've made their big money in the high tech world, and I think it's a little more exciting. To the stainless is a little more youthful. I don't know. Is that what you
Well,
think, or
possibly. The other is it's actually harder to manufacture
oh, it's
the
harder?
item in stainless than it
Uh,
is in gold.
oh, okay. Darren, if somebody want, I'm just thinking out loud with you. If somebody wanted to contact you to design any of these beautiful pieces, or to buy or sell a Ferrari or another exotic car, would it be okay if we tell them how to reach you? And would you accept clients who call you that or email you from Ageless and Timeless?
Of course.
Okay, perfect. Then we're going to run out of time. So could you quickly tell us how they can do that? And I will put this on my website as well.
Uh, my I've got a simple email address, which is Darren at ferrarirosso.com.
Okay, and it's
Um,
Ferrari, Ferrarirosso.
yep,
Okay, I'll say it again. Ferrarirosso.com. Darren, and Darren, Darren at ferrarirosso.com.
that's it. Yep.
Okay, perfect. That's so wonderful. Well, Darren, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. We don't do luxury goods like this, because we're ordinary people. We are doing extraordinary things, and yes, every once in a while there's going to be that interest in indulgence, and why not? We've worked very hard, so we might as well know of Darren and what he does. And by the way, he is a very ordinary person. He just happens to be living this extraordinary life, and he is going to have to come back on video next time to tell us what role he's going to play in our reality TV show. Okay, Darren?
Okay,
All
no
right.
problem.
All right. Well, you sleep well tonight, and sweet dreams. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, bye bye.
Well, every once in a while I do like to feature people who are off the charts in terms of what they're doing with their lives. And I don't think Darren started his life. I know his background. He comes from a very, very conservative family, very illustrious conservative family with a lot of love. And, he's a very bright man who's found his way through the halls of Cambridge University and accomplished a great deal in the military. It seems like everything that Darren does, he does to the nth degree of excellence. And that's really what we're all about here. Ageless and Timeless is always looking for role models. So we thank Darren for joining us and sharing a little bit of what he does. And if you do want to reach him, you will find his contact information on my website, agelessandtimeless.com. This is Michelle Hughes. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye. 'Cause you're amazing. Just